So the technique is then, as I say, from the first section in the knives, we trap and step forward with the Chi Sau and punch. And when we're going on knives against pole, you're going to move forwards. When it's hands against hands, you're going to move backwards. So the sort of street application, if you grab or step in, as it together, it doesn't matter. If he comes in here, I'm kind of going for this tweak. So that's the thing. So he comes in with the grab. That's what I'm going for, this kind of inside pack and outside pack. So again, he comes in, and I'm going for this grab. That gives me a similar shape to how we had in the form. He comes in with a punch with this one, and I'm going to circle. If he stepped in with that, which you'd need to do because he's out of range otherwise, then I step back. So we see the same kind of principle of this. In a Chi Sau application, what I was saying is this works well against an inside pack Fac Sau. So if you do an inside pack here, and I turn to jam there, I can bring this hand back, so I get pressure like so. Now, again, to remind you of an inside pack, a bad inside pack Fac Sau is where I pack a little bit and then try and reach. That's not good. What I need to do is a bigger pack and then forwards, but that's where you can turn. I've locked my arm and not so good. Also, we see the same stance, so all of this is still Chi Sau. For me to do a good pack, I need to step in here because a little pack and a reach gives me that break. If I pack right across and forwards, I'm open for a punch on this one. If I step right in here, then I cover both arms and trapped. Position, energy, reaction, technique. Whenever we're training Chi Sau, that's what we're looking for. And position is the hardest of all, it's body position. So if I step in, you step back. And that's what we're looking at here. So now you go for the trap, and we see the same position in principle that we had in the form. I go for the punch, and you can Chi Sau, and that's an application. Why am I going to punch and why are you going to do Chi Sau? So the idea with this is I go for the pack. Again, here, you go for the trap. Now, what I want you to do is, boom, give it a tweak. Hey! And in order for me to get out of that, I'm going to rapidly have to drop my elbow. There's when I can punch, and that's when you can do the Chi Sau. Now, you're doing a gum instead of a Chi Sau. Did anyone else do that? Anyone else have that feel? You did a little bit as well. And we've just discussed it with a few people there. The idea being, if I go for the pack and you drop in, that's the shape. It could well be that when you're doing this tweak, you're doing it not... If you put some kind of intention, a little bit of intention into it, as he goes for that, I'm really going to have to slip off. Because he needs to also make sure he's pushing from his elbow. The elbow is in here. You're keeping this up, like the start of Chum Q, just bringing the elbow in before we go forwards. So the elbow tucks in, and that's what I'm going to slip off of. Again, here, that hand is now high. That's what justifies a Chi Sau. Right. There's every chance that when you're doing this, and you can tell me if I'm right or not, that you've gone for the pack, you've trapped, and I've slowly dropped that elbow. If I slowly drop, there's a likelihood you'll follow me with your hand. That now puts that into a better position for a gum, rather than a Chi Sau. So if I do this properly and you took your elbow in, like so you grab, tweak the elbow in here, the elbow is now high, and that's what's going to justify a Chi Sau. So this is that kind of thing of, as you guys know this, let me give you a kick, a front kick, and you turn with a gum. So I come in with a kick and he turns with a gum, that's it, we won't step back. So I come in with a kick, and that's it, so you need a solid gum, and of course we all know that this is not very good. Do you know why it's not very good, Nathan? No? Can anyone tell him what's not very good about this?
Not throwing it through.
Yeah, it's not him, it's the kick that's not very good. If I push through with that kick now, here, then we see actually that gum is very effective. So sometimes what we get is a technique, an application, feeling like, I don't really feel like this is working, and then you realise that the intention before it wasn't there. So as long as I come in with this technique, and I have that intention, then we'll get some kind of reward from that. Obviously we need to be a little bit careful. Same with this, I go for the pack, he traps it, he drops the elbow in here, and then it gives a better position. You had a little mixture there of a gum and a Chi Sau.
Like somewhere in between.
And do you know what, it doesn't matter. One of you, somebody was over here, and it was you guys, right? And you found yourself doing a different technique. That technique that you did was warranted at that time, because we don't get in a position to do a technique. You do a technique from the position you were in, and it's kind of irresponsible to say you do this technique and it'll follow with that and it'll follow with that, and no, it won't. We don't know that at all. What we're trying to do here though is just get a couple of moves from a form to sort of enlighten us a little bit to what else it could be used for. So when we're playing that, it becomes has a bit more interest to it. So that's kind of what we're doing. And if this technique was done correctly, that elbow remains, the hand is high, drives in with the elbow. If I drop, now there, we're a bit sort of sticky, a bit clammy, because we've been training. He pushes, I might bring him down a little bit. So in that case, it's a bit lower. It probably will warrant a gum. He's also probably aware that he wants to keep contact with that elbow there, and that's why the thing wants to drop. But if his elbow is high here, then that's going to warrant a Chi Sau. And considering that the technique that we're looking at is coming from a high position, and that's why we're using the Chi Sau to go forward. You know, I'll just use these training knives, of course, same sort of principle on this. If I've gone forwards, these are high, so that's what's warranting that Chi Sau. If this was low and we did them down here, we wouldn't be doing a Chi Sau, because you'd have to lift in order to be able to do that. So yeah, if you're doing something wrong, a lot of the time it's because of the intention that's put into that. Here, that's fine, because you want to keep that elbow, but also your elbow dropped when you did that. If you go,
it's hard. Obviously, I don't want to break your arm, right? So there's an element of tweaking it, but not trying to snap your arm in half.
Exactly. I completely appreciate that, but at the same time, we want you to do the technique right. So if you were going to push, how are you pushing? What are you pushing with?
Well,
can anyone see what
his forearm?
his wrist? Yeah. You're pushing with your wrist. You're doing this clearly with your wrist, which means when I drop, you're going with it. And what I said is think of the elbow pushing, because remember, we're training against. This is you training against somebody bigger and stronger than you. So if I go to grab you and I'm at this position, using your wrist and your power, it's kind of it's not going to work.
And that changes.
You need to get your elbow, use that lineage of your upper arm and turn your whole body. And it doesn't matter how big the guy is here, you can just twist that elbow here, and you're going to take control of that. You know, so that's the reason why we're using this. This is why and how you end up getting power from a small person against that bigger, stronger opponent. So again, you're kind of giving yourself that luxury and freedom that you can get to here, and so you get your contact and go for the tweak. So you're thinking a bit of a wrist, a bit of an elbow, and that's now even again, and that's where I'm going to drop, and it maintains its position. Yeah. So at some point down there, you came off that chain of events. You didn't press with the elbow. You went to your hand, and as your hand was, your wrist was using that power and that thrust. When I dropped down, you went down with it.
Yeah, it follows you.
Now, never do anything you can't recover from. That wasn't the technique we asked for, but it worked. Which meant the follow-up technique, like on the follow-up technique didn't work as a Chi Sau, but it worked really well as a gun. And that's the reason why we train. You know, we don't train techniques sort of to pigeonhole. We don't say we use this against this and that against that. We simply get used to the fact that things can go up if they're down, down if they were up, they can go inwards or outwards, and we get used to kind of moving to whatever that area is. We mould to that shape and that position, and then we find out what the technique was afterwards, because they're all only kind of descriptive anyway. You know, if you slap my hand, then we call that slapping hand. It's a Chi Sau. If you pull my arm, then you know it becomes that's fine. That's a lap Sau. If you did that one here, that's a pack again. If you pull it here, then it becomes a jut Sau, jerking hand, because it kind of jerks my neck. And it's very easy then for people to get bogged down over. I know I'm going off a bit. People get bogged down in terminology and all the rest. That's really not worth doing. But so just sticking with this. If we look at the sequence here, if I did a rubbish Chi Sau and I try and reach for this, that's where we're going to get that turn. A better Pack Sau if I knock this all the way off my arm here, but I might get a punch here as well, so I don't really want to do that. So the better pack, I want to step in with this and cover. So that's a great pack, wow, fantastic. But if he steps back, it's no longer been the great pack. And this is where we get that shape again. So yeah, tuck your elbow in as you tweak here, and that's why the hand has remained high. I then go for this, and then we get, and you see how you were stepping back? Again, from the form. You were square on, I stepped in so you stepped back. I came in with a punch and smothered you a bit, so you wanted to step back. And that's exactly what we get in the form. As I say, against the pole, you're chasing 9'6" of pole. When somebody's on top of you, you're moving back. But it's the same kind of position. Cool. Brilliant. Cheers, mate. Thanks for listening to that, guys. And we'll move on to the second one. Cool. Thank you.